1974. A report lands on desks across Europe. It carries a simple, terrifying title that would shatter the reputation of a global corporate giant. The Baby Killer. It accuses the world's largest food company of causing the death of infants in the third world. Not by accident, but by a calculated, systemic design. They dressed saleswomen as nurses to gain trust. They infiltrated maternity wards in Pakistan and Nigeria, stealing the authority of medicine to push a deadly product. They gave free formula just long enough for the mother's milk to dry up. Then the free samples stopped, trapping the family in a cycle of dependency. The mothers had nothing left to give. The babies starved. This is not a conspiracy theory born on the internet. This is the cold, hard court record. Most corporations simply want your wallet. This entity wants your biology. They control 2,000 distinct brands that dominate every single aisle of your local grocery store. They own the water in your tap, the food in your pet's bowl, the candy in your pocket. They have quietly purchased the infrastructure of human survival. A $270 billion leviathan known as Nestlé. They do not sell food. They sell addiction, packaged in bright colors to hide the rot. Look at the map. They operate in 188 countries. Their reach is absolute, extending from the skyscrapers of New York to the villages of Africa. Their annual revenue exceeds the total GDP of Kenya. They have more employees than the US Navy has active ships, an army deployed to extract maximum profit. The profits are built on calculated cruelty. The first weapon in their arsenal is the most basic human necessity, the one thing you cannot live without: water. 2013, the California desert, a catastrophic drought destroys the local agriculture. Residents are asked to conserve every drop, while the land turns into a cracked, dry wasteland. In the middle of this dust bowl, a Nestlé factory runs 24 hours a day. It pumps millions of gallons from the aquifer while the locals go dry. Nestlé pays the state exactly $524 a year for this access, less than the cost of a single monthly rent check for an apartment. They bottle it, they put a blue label on it, they sell it back to the thirsty public at a markup that defies all logic and morality. The markup is rampant. They turn a public resource into a private asset worth billions, draining the commonwealth to fill the bank accounts of distant shareholders. The CEO, Peter Brabeck-Letmathe, went on record. He argued that declaring water a human right is extreme, a statement that reveals the core philosophy of the company. He stated, "Water should have a market value like any other foodstuff. If you cannot pay, you do not drink. Survival is now a luxury service." In Pakistan, the situation is worse. A village near a Nestlé plant reported their water table sank deep underground, turning their local wells into useless dry holes. The locals turned to the only safe source left: bottled water, manufactured and sold by the very same company that drained their well in the first place. Water is just the beginning. The true scale of the operation lies in the commodity that built their empire, the sweet distraction, chocolate. Most people see a simple candy bar. The supply chain tells a different story. It begins in the Ivory Coast, where the law does not exist. The industry promised to end child labor in 2001. They signed the Haken-Engel Protocol. They swore to remove the chains from the children. 20 years later, the numbers did not go down. They went up. 2 million children still work in the hazardous dust of the cocoa fields. They use machetes to harvest the pods. The wounds are common. The pay is non-existent. This is the hidden ingredient in your Kit Kat. In 2005, 3 former child slaves sued Nestlé. They claimed they were trafficked from Mali, beaten, and forced to work 14-hour days without pay. Nestlé did not deny the slavery existed. They argued a legal technicality. They claimed that as a foreign corporation, they could not be liable in US courts. The Supreme Court eventually dismissed the case, not because the slavery didn't happen, but because the abuse occurred overseas, out of American jurisdiction. They won the legal battle. They kept the profits. The children in the Ivory Coast kept working. The system is designed to protect the shareholder, not the worker. While they exploit the labor force at the bottom, they manipulate the market at the top. This brings us to the Great Canadian Chocolate Cartel. For a decade, the price of chocolate in Canada was a lie. It was not determined by supply and demand. It was fixed in a back room. Nestlé, Mars, and Hershey executives met secretly. They agreed to raise prices simultaneously. They forced consumers to pay more for the exact same product. This wasn't a small adjustment. It was a coordinated theft. The Competition Bureau of Canada launched a massive investigation into the price-fixing scheme. The evidence was overwhelming. Nestlé eventually settled. They paid $9 million. To a company worth billions, this is not a fine. It is a tip. The settlement did not admit guilt. It simply made the problem go away. The consumer never got their money back. The theft was successful. This pattern repeats in every sector they touch. From water to chocolate, the strategy is dominance. But their most dangerous operation is in the laboratory. They do not just control the supply, they engineer the demand. They have spent decades studying the precise biology of human craving. They bought a startup called Immune Therapeutics. This company specializes in food allergies, specifically peanut allergies. Nestlé now owns the cure to the problem they help exacerbate. It is vertical integration of the human body. They feed you the sugar that makes you sick. Then they sell you the medical nutrition to keep you alive. This is the final frontier. It is not about food security. It is about biological capture. They are rewriting the definition of nutrition to suit their portfolio. They employ a specific metric in their labs. It is called the bliss point. It is the precise mathematical ratio of sugar, salt, and fat. It is designed to override the brain's stop signal. When you eat a cucumber, your brain says, "I am full." When you eat their product, silence. This is vanishing caloric density. The food melts so quickly on your tongue that your body thinks it is consuming nothing. You are tricked into infinite hunger. This is not cooking. This is chemistry. They hire the same scientists who engineered tobacco addiction to apply those principles to your breakfast cereal. The result is a global health crisis. Obesity rates skyrocket in every country Nestlé enters. they privatize the profit and socialize the healthcare costs. But the engineering of addiction is subtle. Their financial brutality is not. While they fatten the West, they extract the last dollar from the starving. This brings us to the year 2002, the nation of Ethiopia, a country that was facing the worst famine in a generation. 11 million people were dying. The government was begging for international aid to feed the population. In the middle of this disaster, a letter arrived from Nestlé's headquarters in Switzerland. The letter was not an offer of help. It was a demand for payment. Nestlé demanded $6 million from the Ethiopian government immediately. The debt was decades old. Nestlé had acquired a German company that had a claim on an Ethiopian livestock business nationalized in the 1970s. They bought the debt for pennies on the dollar. Now, they wanted the full face value, plus interest, from a country that could not buy grain. The $6 million could have fed 1 million people for a month. Nestlé did not care. They stated it was a matter of principle. The principle was contract law. The reality was extortion. They held the starving population hostage to force the government to pay a corporate debt. The public outrage was instant. Protests erupted outside their offices. For a moment, the mask slipped, and the world saw the cold calculation underneath. Under massive pressure, they eventually agreed to invest the money back into the country. But the damage was done. The mindset was revealed. To them, a contract is more sacred than a human life. This is the corporate sociopathy that governs their decision-making in every single boardroom meeting. They operate with the logic of a machine. If the input is legal, the output is justified. Morality is an inefficiency they have engineered out of the system. This logic extends to the environment. We must look at the plastic crisis. Nestlé is one of the top plastic polluters on the entire planet. They produce nearly 2 million metric tons of plastic packaging every year. That is the weight of 150 Eiffel Towers annually. They claim they are recycling. The truth is that most of their packaging is designed to be single-use. It is destined for the landfill or the ocean. They print a green recycling arrow on the bottle. It is a symbol that means absolutely nothing in the real world of waste management. It is a psychological trick to make the consumer feel absolved of guilt. You throw it in the blue bin and you forget. But the plastic does not disappear. It breaks down into microplastics. It enters the fish. It enters the rain. It enters your blood. Scientists have found microplastics in the placentas of unborn babies. Nestlé's legacy is now woven into the cellular structure of the next generation. As the public wakes up to the damage of sugar and plastic, Nestlé is not panicking. They are pivoting. They are already ahead of you. They are selling off their candy brands. In 2018, they sold their US confectionery business to Ferrero. They are washing their hands of the sugar. They are moving into a new sector, medical nutrition. They realize the money is not in feeding the healthy. It is in treating the sick. They are buying pharmaceutical companies. They are developing foods that act as drugs. They want to prescribe you your dinner based on your DNA. Imagine a future where your health insurance is tied to your diet, and the only approved diet is manufactured by the same company that owns the insurance. This is the ultimate vertical integration. They create the problem with cheap processed food. Then they sell the solution with expensive medicalized food. It is a closed loop of profit. You are the battery that powers it. You are born on their formula. You live on their sugar. You die on their medicine. The company that started by infiltrating maternity wards has not changed its character. It has simply upgraded its technology and expanded its ambition. They are betting on a future where resources are scarce, where water is private, where food is engineered, where the natural world is a historical footnote. Peter Brabeck let Martha was right about one thing. In their world, survival is a product, and like any product, it goes to the highest bidder. We call them a food company, but that is a misnomer. They're a logistics company that specializes in the privatization of biological necessities. There is no villain twirling a mustache. There is only a board of directors maximizing shareholder value. That is the banality of this evil. They have commodified the water you drink. They have enslaved the children who pick your chocolate. They have poisoned the biology of the poor. And they have done it all legally. Every contract signed, every permit approved, every lawsuit settled. The system works exactly as intended. The next time you pick up a bottle of water, look at the label. You are not just buying hydration. You are funding the enclosure of the commons. Nestle proves that if you can own the water, you can own the people. They are not a food company. They are the landlords of your existence.